Hey guys, Subtle Static here. Welcome to another video. So today is going to be episode 2 for the Serum course that we've been putting together now. So in today we're going to be talking a little bit about our wavetables, a little bit more about envelopes and LFO as well, and how we can use them within Serum. I'll show you how to use the matrix mode. I'll show you how to use a couple of effects. Nothing super deep today, but I will show you a couple tricks which are a little bit advanced. So with this course, I am kind of trying to ease it in fairly basically at first. Eventually, we'll be getting into making our own wavetables. You'll even understand how to make your own warp mode, so you can kind of change your wavetables in whatever way you want, basically. So anyway, this is the synth we're going to make. It sounds like this. So it's quite a nice analog lo-fi sounding synth here. So yeah, let's get to making it. Let's go through it, and hopefully you learn a couple things from it. So we head up here, top right hand corner, main menu, and we go to initial preset, just like we did in the last video. You'll notice our waveform looks a bit different. That's just like the 3D view, and this is the 2D view. But yeah, that can just help when you like scrolling through a waveform like, say, this one. So you'll see it's got like a whole heap of different spectrums, and it's like, crazy. But we're not going to use that. So if we go up here to our oscillator A, we're going to click on analog, and we are going to be using, where is it? Basic CJW. Now this is kind of just like an analogy type waveform. So it scrolls through. It's probably easier to see this one in 2D form. So you've got sine wave, kind of like a triangle, and slowly like morphs into a saw. So that's quite a handy little waveform that the Serum's just got in itself. But it sounds like this. So yeah, just a little sine wave, but it's got a little bit of that analogy grit to it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to activate our sub. We don't really need to touch too much here. We're just going to drop that down a bit just to give it more of a bass form. We are also going to activate our noise oscillator. So we're going to be doing some FM synthesis with our noise oscillator. Now the noise oscillator is basically a sampler, because you can load your own samples into it. You can even use Serum as a sampler just by like clicking a sample and dragging it into the noise oscillator from like your library here. But yeah, it's got all these inbuilt ones anyway. But we're going to use the analog, and we're going to go ARP circuit. And we're going to turn the level all the way down. So at the moment you can't hear anything on the noise oscillator anyway. But if we turn it up, it's loud and grainy. So we want that all the way down. What we're going to do here, this is our warp mode. So it's got a whole heap of different options here. These are really fun to play with. What I wanted to show you was the FM noise. So this is how you can do your FM within Serum. So if we listen, grabbing an FM signal from this noise oscillator, even though the level's all the way down. So at the moment we can just hear like this slight fuzz in there, and it makes it sound really analog, which is quite nice. So that's it for this section. We don't really need to touch too much more here. What we're going to play with now is our envelope, because when it comes to a pad, it's got a kind of a slow attack and also a slow release. So these envelopes are just your standard envelopes. It's got attack, hold before your decay sets in, decay, sustain, and release. So we're going to turn our attack up to about 800, roughly. And so if we play that now, it's got a really harsh drop off. So we're going to chuck our release up to around the same level as well. So 816, yeah. There we go. It's got quite a nice fade in and also a nice little release on there as well. Now what we're going to do is we're going to activate our filter. So we click here. We've got a whole range of different filters to use. What we're going to use is we're going to go down to multi, and we're going to go all the way down to here, and we're going to select BPN12. Yeah, so a band, a peak, and a notch filter all combined into one. And you can kind of change it depending on this little morph knob down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the cutoff just up to here. And we're gonna just play a note. So it kind of cuts out the lows and the highs a little bit too. This is probably more just like a band pass, but I just like this one. It just seems to sound really good for lo-fi synths. Because let's take a listen without it. So quite a big difference in sound when you turn it on there. It is really quiet, so we can put the drive up a little bit. That just kind of boosts it. All right, that's nice. So that is it for the envelopes, the noise, the sub, the oscillators. We're going to play with LFO now. So if we drag this here, you'll see that this is changing. So these are all of our LFOs within Serum. Serum has 4 LFOs that you can use to modulate different parameters. So you can have, say, your D-tune on your oscillator A, like in last episode where we played with that a bit. You could have your D-tune amount. So like if we turn that up a bit, you could have that going like that automatically with your LFOs, which is super handy. But we're not going to use unison on this one. So we are going to, however, modulate our master tuning. So when it comes to master tuning, I like to have our LFO kind of sitting up at around the middle, because otherwise it tends to just warp the sound way too much and it puts it out of key and it's just hard to tune. So we're going to be making something kind of like this. So you can just double click and that creates a new point on your LFO. You can also do like little bends and things like that by just clicking the middle and dragging. But we just want something that looks kind of like this. So now you might notice you can just kind of click and drag and that will modulate it to whatever you drag it over to. But there's no master tuning on here. So let's just remove that. You can just select remove all destinations if you want to, and then it doesn't affect anything anymore. So if we go to our matrix, it's going to look a bit confusing. But if we go to source, we can select LFO1. So what this is doing, this is grabbing our signal from LFO1. And we want our destination to be global master tuning. So this is grabbing our LFO signal and sending it to our master tuning. So this here is modulating what our tuning is doing. At the moment, the amount is set to 0, so it's not going to make any difference at all. But if we chuck it up to say, like, let's just slowly edge it up and you'll see what it does. So 100's pretty extreme. Obviously, if you were to change these up a bit, like put it down to there, it's going to go crazy. That's the other cool thing. You can kind of like change it as you're listening. All right, but we obviously don't want it up at 100 because that's just going to sound weird on a pad. So we're going to set it at about 4. Ooh, it's probably a bit much. Maybe 3. So yeah, now that's affecting our master tuning, as you can hear. So it's just kind of like a nice vinyl effect to the sound. That's kind of what we're going to discuss in the matrix today. Eventually we'll go pretty deep into matrix. And yeah, that's kind of everything in the synth. That's it. But now we're just going to add a couple of effects. So Serum has a stupid amount of effects that we can choose from. So you've got hyper dimension, which can be really useful for growly stuff. Distortion, which we're going to use today, so we're going to turn that on. Flanger, it's got a phaser, got chorus, got delay, got compressor, which is really good because it's kind of got like a OTT in there as well. It's got a reverb, good EQ, got a filter. Comes in handy. So at the moment, we're going to play with distortion. So we're not going to put that at heat's probably like 35. Yep, that's fine. Just adds like a nice grain to it. Especially with like the tube distortion that it's got. It's also got like a tape saturator, stomp box, so you can go some pretty crazy stuff. Even like a redux kind of thing. But yeah, we just want that tube one. There it is. Cool. And we're going to add a little bit of reverb. And we're going to filter out our lows. So down here, you can kind of do like a high cut and a low cut. So if we just turn that up to about 35, just to stop any bass stuff coming through on the reverbs, because that makes it muddy. Let's listen. There we go. A really nice analog pad synth. So, look, I hope you guys have actually learned something today. If you do have any questions, feel free to just drop them down in the comments or Instagram me on Subtle Static. I usually get back to you pretty quickly on Instagram. So in the next episode, we're going to be going pretty crazy into wavetables. I'll show you how to make your own custom wavetables. I'll show you how to warp them. I'll show you how to make your own warp modes. And yeah, we'll be basically making a pretty complicated lead synth. Once again, we'll be using LFOs. We'll be using the envelopes a bit. I'll try and include as much as I can into that one. So stay tuned for the next episode, because that one's going to be pretty detailed and a bit nuts. So you guys will definitely learn something in that one. Anyway, thanks heaps for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and yeah, thanks guys, bye.